Hello and welcome to episode 85 of the Boot Nerds podcast. JayMike, how are you?
I have almost never been better, my friend. How are you?
I am once again sleeping very little, but it's exciting times.
Okay, so you're not going to complain. You're not unhappy.
I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to say that I'm moderately unbothered. I'm not going to say anything like that.
You're in a relatively average mood these days.
Sure, relatively average. Slightly above, I would say.
Slightly above average. Okay, so you're actually in J terms hella excited. And I can kind of guess why, as you've probably seen on the title, in the thumbnail. You know, you've just launched a new batch of stuff. Congratulations.
Yeah, something, again, I've been working on for not quite as long as the socks. It's been about 3 or 4 months to get everything right, but pure sleeves are now a thing. And they're available in 9 different colors at puregripsocks.com for the extremely affordable price of $9.99. For those that are unaware, Pure Grip Socks launched that maybe 3 months ago now. I can't remember the timeline. It's all a blur at this point, right? And the support around it and the response has been phenomenal. We launched in black and white, and obviously the first thing that everybody wanted was more colors. So what we just also introduced along with Pure Sleeves is 7 new colors of Pure Grip Socks, to which we immediately realized that some people wanted other colors that we are currently working on, by the way. But there are 7 new colors, which include red, which include navy blue, sky blue, royal blue, yellow, orange, and green. And I think I didn't forget any.
I don't think you did.
Along with the black and white.
And if I can jump in and say, you know, obviously we saw the response you got when you dropped the black and the white Pure Grip Socks, and you know, from an outsider's point of view, I thought that was absolutely amazing. Not only is the product good, obviously I also gave you a bit of feedback on the whole development process, all the samples you did, but I just thought it was amazing to see how the community responded to you doing this, you know, actually making product at a reasonable price, actually good product. And now, you know, I also have the pleasure of having the sleeves here. Thank you for sending those out, by the way. But it's something that I personally have been enjoying a lot, wearing sleeves with my random grip socks over the years. And I've just never had a sleeve that really lived up to what I wanted it to do. I want good compression. I want a sleeve that stays in place. And I can say, hand on my heart, that this does what I want. It's nice. It stretches well to the shape of my leg. It has a decent length, so I don't have to like fold it over 5 times to make it actually go under my knee. And you know, it's a nice product. And I guess, you know, it's something that I wish would have come out maybe 10 years ago. And it surprises me that not many more people are doing this, because it's actually like it's flipping brilliant. I think we've all been there where we've had to cut our football socks. And I can kind of imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, that it was one of the reasons you decided to do these. It's just a waste of good socks, right?
Yeah, I absolutely despise cutting a perfectly good pair of socks. And even when you do that, aside from the obvious where the end that you cut inevitably just frays ridiculously badly, because when you cut your socks, you're now forced to tape them as well, which is another step that I hate. But they don't stay in place very well. They're not designed to be standalone sleeves. So what I set out to do with Pure Sleeves was to create a product that not only stayed in place really nicely, but also provided enough compression and tension in the materials used to actually help with holding your shin guards in place. And everyone's a little bit different with shin guards. Some people are more picky than others, but if you have a relatively small, lightweight pair of shin guards, even some bigger ones, as long as it fits pretty well to your shin, there's enough compression from the sleeves alone to pretty much just hold them in place. You don't need to use any tape. You don't need to use any sleeves that come with your shin guards, which to me is a very big thing, because I don't like using tape and I really dislike shin guard sleeves. And this kind of eliminates the need for both of those things for most people. If you still like that super secure feel, then absolutely use tape, use your shin guard sleeves. It's something that you're going to have to experiment with. But I think that the sleeve aspect of football in general, it's become such a big part of like the modern game because obviously grip socks have become a very big thing. And if you want to wear your grip socks in training, you also want to wear them in a match and you're forced to cut your socks. And the sleeve options that are out there, just like grip socks, part of the reason why I came out with them, they are unnecessarily expensive. Like most sleeves are going to run you between $20 and $40. And that is just, I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. There's no need for it. It's totally outrageous. Yeah, there's certainly more margin. You're going to make more money selling sleeves for that much. But it's, for me, what I'm setting out with Pure to do is to provide a good quality product at legitimately what is the fairest possible price. So affordability is something that is a big part of what I want to do here. And I think at $9.99, I've made the sleeves as affordable as they can be. And it gives people that option without, again, having to spend a ton of money on grip socks and sleeves.
And that I think is great. Obviously, just like with the socks, you sent me some samples so I could give you some feedback because I think you've probably realized by now that I'm kind of picky with my socks and basically what I wrap around my leg. So I also had a very clear idea about what I liked about the sleeves and you know. It gave you a few ideas for adjustments, and when I've been testing the samples you've sent out, and obviously the final product, I haven't had a problem with shin guards sliding around, so that was very good. And I don't have the biggest calves in the world, so even then I got decent compression, which is obviously important. And also the fact that you say you actually have a pretty secure fit around the bottom of the sock, where kind of you would normally have to tape the sleeve or the rest of the sock that you've cut off, you would have to tape that together with your whatever sock you're using. So that to me is nice that you can basically just put it on, put your shin pads in place, and you're ready to go. No need for tape, no nothing. And I think that's really, really nice. And you know, obviously price is ridiculously good. I mean, there's no reason to not get a pair of those. And I think it's nice that, you know, I think 5 years ago, we saw grip sock companies making just match versions of their grip socks. And that was a good idea because then you could just, you know, get the same sensation in a match as you would in training and you wouldn't have to cut up your socks. But I think this way around, you can actually now you can also get sleeves if you just want to use a pair of tennis socks or some other brand of grip socks. And that's like the freedom that it gives you is pretty nice instead of just having to go out and buy a Pure grip socks in just a super long length.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. I appreciate that you've actually thought of people like myself and people listening to this podcast who like to have options, who might be very, you know, fickle when it comes to personal preference and stuff like that. So you're not stuck with just one brand because whoever made it decided that this is the only way.
Yeah. Look, one of the number one requests that I got when we launched Pure Grip socks was, will you make a full length knee high version of the sock, right? And immediately I thought, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to offer them in a bunch of colors. But then price became an issue. Once at $14.99 for the regular socks, if you make them significantly, it's double the material, the price has to increase. And I really didn't want to have to charge $20, $25 for a pair of grip socks just because they were a little bit taller. And I would almost be forced into doing that. So that was the first issue. The second thing is, I think a lot of people recognize that are into grip socks that it's a very popular thing amongst professional athletes. And the pro style is more or less a crew sock with a sleeve on top. That's not what everybody's doing, but it's more or less become the standard for a lot of professional players. So I like the idea of bringing you that type of product at a far more affordable price than just a regular pair of socks would be on their own, let alone grip socks. So that was the first thing. The second thing is, playing all these years, and I think most people can agree with me, a full length soccer sock or football sock sucks. They slide down. they don't stay in place better. And that's because when you have it as one piece of material, you're limited to the types of materials and the weave and the tensions that you can make, especially if the objective is to keep the price down as much as possible. I'm sure if you charged $100 for a pair of socks, you could make something pretty special that would work great. But inevitably, I always remembered back to pulling on kind of the middle of the calf area of my socks to try and get the foot part to go back into place, because it's just hard to hold tension. That's the reason why crew socks have become such a good thing, is because once you get above your heel, there's elasticated kind of a section that's kind of provides tension to help hold the sock in place that you can only get with a crew sock. So by separating the foot part and the over the calf part into two areas, not only do you end up with a more secure fit in both parts, but they also just end up fitting closer in general, which it just made more sense. And then, like you said, some people might be surprised by this. Obviously, I would love you to play in pure grip socks, but if you have a preference of a certain type of sock or another brand of grip socks, by all means wear those. And then these sleeves, available for $10 a pair, you can pair them with any socks that you want, which I felt was a very important thing as well.
And that's probably the thing I was going to say. Most football socks actually suck pretty bad, and the key to the socks that are actually good, for instance, I don't know if you've ever tried the Light Guard socks. They also make like these low cut grip socks, but which are obviously quite expensive, but they're good because they have a lot of compression, and equally they're like Match socks are really good because they are super, super compressed, and that's something that I think is really underestimated when you have like the upper part of the Match sock. If you have decent compression there, you're gonna get a nice fit no matter what. And because it is compressed, it stretches to match the shape of your leg. And that's something, this fits me, and I guess it also fits you, and you have significantly bigger calves than I do. So I think you've hit a pretty sweet spot right there, taking what really works from some of the best Match socks out there, of course, giving the freedom of choice. And just, you noticed or mentioned the pros, and if you look at it, they wear crew socks, but their Match socks are actually just mostly sleeves these days.
That the big brands do not sell to the public.
But that's the thing, right? They make them for the pros, but then we can buy the normal standard OG Match socks. And I don't get that, because if the pros get them, they're there. And they must be decent quality, right? Anyways, I'm just going to say that after I've discovered sleeves a couple of years back and grip socks, this is my go-to thing. And I always make sure to have red and black sleeves in my Match bag in case we play home or away. So that's one of the things I never go down on when I play. So it's great to have actually a really good option now, because I've just been stuck with my one sleeve for a couple of years, and it's been it's getting loose, and loose socks are not on. So,
and not to ramble too much on like personal philosophy, but for me, the reason for sleeves over a full length sock is I've always, I would say from like 14, 15 years old, when I really recognized, hey, I should be training for to purposely get better, not just to goof around. And when I started to take training a little bit more serious, and in anything you do in life, it's practice the way you would play in a game. And I think most people who watch this podcast probably don't wear shin guards in a training session, or the vast majority of them.
I do.
You do? See, I don't. I haven't for a very long time.
Right. But you're also Canadian. You play hockey and stuff. You just fight for fun, right?
Getting kicked in the leg doesn't bother me.
No, exactly. Like you take a puck to the face and you smile at it, right?
but yeah, you're right. It's true. But anyways, for me, like training in crew socks has kind of become the norm. And I like that sensation. I like the way that they feel. I like the way that they fit. And especially if you're into the whole grip sock thing, the vast majority of grip socks are crew socks specifically for this reason. They stay in place better. So to have the option to train in the same socks that you can also play in a match, a sleeve allows for that. And that's what I like. So again, even if it's not pure grip socks, if it's another brand of grip socks or just regular socks in general that you really like, you can now train in the same socks and then use them in a match and then just partner them with the sleeve. And it doesn't change the fit. It doesn't change the comfort, because I know a lot of people are very sensitive. They get a new boot and there's a specific sock that they like to pair with that boot, and anything else just feels weird or worse at the very least. So I really like the modularity of separating the foot part and the over the calf part into two pieces.
And tell you what, this modularity is something that my teammates, we have terrible. My team has terrible match socks. That changed a couple of years back. We got new ones because something had to change, right? But then not too long ago, I actually introduced them to good grip socks and sleeves, and their world changed. Like they actually realized how much it matters, and the amount of sock tape that we have saved going into sleeves where you don't have to use it for the socks to stay in place. That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. To see how much tape we're rambling on, but my point is that I like the sleeves. I think they're really, really good. They're nice. They fit well, and I like the fact that they're not too bold. They're pretty minimal. Small logo here. I guess I usually align it with the back stripe of the sock. But I guess you can do whatever you want, right? I don't know if there's any.
They're not directional. They're not left and right. They just stretch to whatever shape you pull them around. But yeah, I mean, I personally like to have the stripe at the very back. But if you want to have it on the outside, on the inside, at the front, at an angle, it doesn't really matter. That's totally up to you. And I'll also just comment on something you just said. Comfort is something that is super important with any socks. I think people really don't consider how big of an impact it will have on the feel of your boots. And often when you get blisters, especially in a match, because this is something that happens a lot too. I wore these boots 5 times in training before I wore them in a match, never had any issues. And the first time I wore them in a match with different socks that slid around inside of your boot and you ran around without resting, guess what? You got a blister. And I think when you're able to use the same socks and the same scenario that you trained in, bringing that into a match, that's always kind of a best case scenario for, I guess, familiarity, but also comfort and avoiding blisters. Because that for me is one of the big benefits of grip socks, is that they stay in place way better than a normal sock would, and certainly way better than a full length over the calf sock would.
Agreed. And the fact that, I just like the fact that now you can do whatever you want and not having to worry about, often when, once or twice I've actually forgotten my socks. They were still in the dryer when I left home, or on the, whatever you call it, like where you hang it after you wash them. What do you call that in English?
When you dry it?
Yeah. What would you call it when you have this thing that where you hang all the. It doesn't matter. You guys know what I know.
I know what you're talking about.
If you know what I mean, don't be dicks about it. Okay, but I left them there, so I didn't bring them for the match. And now that I just realizing, looking in my bag, I forgot the socks. I forgot the sleeves, which means that I can't wear the socks. I was like, damn, this match is gonna suck. And lo and behold, it absolutely sucked, and I probably got a blister. And I never get blisters, right? So I just. That to me is like the big thing with this, is that you can now actually wear the socks you want and not have to worry about whether it matches your team socks or not.
Yeah. And again, it's affordable.
Yes.
So if you need a couple pairs and you don't have to worry about washing them all the time, it's not going to break the bank to get 3 or 4 pairs. And then even with the socks, again, they're available in multiple colors now. Compared to some of the more popular competition, you can legitimately get 3 pairs of pure grip socks for less than 1 pair of some of the competition, which is still outrageous to me. It blows my mind that there's grip socks out there that are that expensive. But again, that was the point of this brand, is to offer a good quality product at the most affordable price. And now you have kind of the full setup for practice as well as matches at a significantly lower price than even just a single pair of grip socks from other brands. And
you could basically be set for like $25 and have a full set of grip socks and sleeves, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. That's pretty good. That's pretty. Yeah. So kudos for and thank you for doing this for the community and for gearheads, because it's like a game changer. Not only is it good that we can buy your products, but hopefully it also has like a positive effect on the wider business side of grip socks. That would be to show people that you can actually make great quality product for a fair price. Nah, it's good. I like it. But enough rambling about the socks. I think you'll have ample opportunity to plug them in future episodes if history is anything to go by. Any closing comments?
No closing comments. They're available at puregripsocks.com, which will be linked in the description as well. Go check it out.
So there was a closing comment. Gotcha. Something I also wanted to talk about is these that obviously they haven't quite launched yet, but we saw Pogba wearing them against PSG. He also wore them against Newcastle and didn't play much. But these are nice, man. These are wicked.
They look crazy. You know what's surprising about that shoe is that just the pattern alone changes the shape. I don't.
So
like
much.
when you see it, when I was watching that match and seeing Pogba wearing them, I'm like, what the heck is he wearing? Like it transforms visually back into an old Predator, which is very cool to me.
But that's the thing, when you and especially with this top down look, right? When you have it on your foot, I legitimately caught myself looking down, thinking accelerators. like that sensation again, and the top-down look on an accelerator is just absolutely beautiful, right? But because they have that graphical pattern and they got it pretty much spot on, they have these little gray areas kind of highlighting where the old accelerator, the fins were placed, and you get that wavy look. It's absolutely amazing, and to me, this is by far the best-looking Predator 20 Plus we have seen and probably will see in the boot's lifetime. I don't see how it can get any better than this, if I'm honest.
Yeah, 100%. And it's obviously got this paint stroke type effect to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that what's funny about this boot, because the response that I've seen has been overwhelmingly positive. But I think if you look at an OG accelerator and you show that to the modern day football boot audience, they're going to say that looks very chunky, it looks bulky, it doesn't look very streamlined. But when you put it on a modern Predator and you kind of give it this paint stroke effect, it really shows how, I don't want to say artistic, but I think aesthetically pleasing that design actually is so many years on.
But this to me also goes to show why the accelerator is one of the most iconic football boots of all time, because you can just take the design and slap it on anything, whether that is a remake or this, whatever it is. It's just absolutely beautiful in the way it interacts with the natural curves of the Predator 20. I think it actually looks really. I have one thing, and I'm also going to say it in my playtest and review of the Predator 20 Plus shoe here, is that it's amazing. It looks absolutely awesome, but it's also one of the biggest missed opportunities I've ever witnessed in my time as a boot nerd. Because you remember the Dragon Predator, right? We talked about it last episode.
I had a feeling where you were going here.
Yeah. And you also know there's a Predator 20.1 low cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
aware.
Why did Adidas not take the opportunity to actually do a Predator 20.1 low cut with fusion skin and like the 20 plus elements on it just for laughs with this design? It looks good, but the potential is there. For once, do something for the community, right? You have the technology. We saw it on those ADV Predator 19 pluses where they and the 19.1 that had the look of the Mania. It wasn't really a Mania. It was just fusion skin with graphics on, right? They did it there. Why can't they do it here?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to give the same criticism that I gave Puma for the whole Neymar thing. Because I think that...
Oh, wow, that's
because from a sales...
That's a telling off.
Think about this. From a sales perspective, I think it's fair to say that the Pred 20 Plus and the 20.1 Low are pretty level, like in terms of overall popularity. And I understand Adi really wanting to push the Laceless Plus models. That is more or less their flagship in terms of hyping up new colorways and stuff. But like, why not give an opportunity to the 20.1 to be the star of the show for like one colorway drop and potentially just increase the popularity of that boot infinitely?
And fusion skin. Like we've seen they can do it. They can do it on the 20 plus. We have the Dragon to kind of show us that, right? Why not do a low cut? I get it. Yeah, Pharrell Williams collaboration, flagship model has to, sure. But if there ever was a time to do a low-cut fusion skin bread, this was the moment, and you just waved at it as it passed by.
Yeah, I agree with you. Also, just a comment on, because this is a Pharrell Williams collab, and I don't know much about Pharrell at all, but...
Why am I not surprised? You don't strike me like the kind of guy to sit on a Sunday afternoon and just jam out to Pharrell Williams.
Yeah, I don't know much about the guy. I don't know if he's into football, let alone football boots. I'm going to assume that he probably isn't.
Don't think he is, no.
But I think it's cool, again, just to piggyback off that comment I just made. He probably went to Adidas HQ and they showed him like a wall of all these classic Adidas boots, and that's the design that he clearly pointed out and said, "Hey, we need to take that design and put it on this boot." And
apparently he loved the 20 plus. He was like, "Oh, this is mad," and just went from there. Yeah. I don't think he hand painted it himself though, but I like to believe that it's a nicer story. So that's what I tell myself when I go to sleep at night. Pharrell did it. Pharrell did it. Pharrell did it.
He had like what was the song he had that was really popular? Like,
Happy?
Happy, that's the one.
Yeah. I'm not gonna sing it here because I sing it in the Unisport video, and it sounds significantly less awesome than I thought it did when I sang it. So I'm not gonna. But you're free to sing it.
No, that's like one of my big like sharks.
Yep.
Snakes, spiders. Yep. I don't care for, and singing in public. Like,
yes, and apparently also speaking French.
Speaking French. That's just that's just the biggest lost skill that I have.
What would you rather? Speak French in public or sing Happy by Pharrell Williams?
Okay, here's a funny story.
No? Yeah,
in high school, I think it was the last year of high school, we had this teacher, and I don't know, it was just very strange, and it was French class, which I dreaded every single year because I went to an all-French high school. And the very first assignment of the year, because it's like already the first week of school, you're like, oh, I really don't want to be here. Like after a day, you're already like, you feel like you've been there for like, it's the worst, right? First assignment of the year. Okay, partner up, and you're going to have to take an English song and sing it in French.
Oh.
You've got to be joking. You've got to be joking. This is the worst idea. Nobody in this whole class wants to get up in front of the class and sing an English song in French.
So what did you choose?
Well, I had no choice. I did it. It was not good.
But what did you choose?
I don't even remember what the song was.
Come on, you remember. I know.
I wiped it from my memory, Jay.
Oh, man.
But that was rough.
Would you answer my question? What would you rather? Speak French or sing?
Definitely talk French. I don't want to sing.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to sing at all.
All right. Yeah, me.
But
after that shit show, no, me neither. I don't want to. Like, I thought go up in a high-pitched voice like Pharrell, and I was like, yo, man, I can sing, and I can't. So yeah, no.
I will say too, just picture, because I've been around you while making those videos, and you have this pretty incredible switch where you can go from like totally chill and like almost looks like he's mad to just like all the enthusiasm in the world in a half second. So I just imagine Jay just kind of being really like, oh man, I can't wait for this to be done. And then camera starts rolling and he's singing Happy by Pharrell.
I'm just bursting out and clap along if you know what happiness is to you. And all that stuff, right? It's just, yeah. See, I wasn't going to do it, but I had to. I'm sorry.
Wasn't that bad.
Anyways, let's move on to some questions. Just grabbed a few today just to keep things short and snackable. I think we're past that point. We're snackable, but if you're still here, you're awesome. If you have questions that you'd like us to answer in episode 86 or beyond, let us know in the comment section right down below. And while you're at it, also don't forget to leave us a like on the video if you're having a good time. But Nick Saunders, I think, talks about, follows up on the discussion we had last time with too many limited editions. The turnover drives me crazy, but more so the boot line. I loved the Adipure. Then the line ended. Okay. I loved the 11 Pro. Then the line ended. It took me at least 6 pairs of boots since then to find out what I found to be an equal. And hey, they turned out to be the Puma Kings. And that probably means that line is going to end soon as well. With Nick's luck. I don't think it is, probably. But yeah, I see what he's saying, and you know, I'm gonna put it like this: one of my favorite pairs of boots ever is the Adipure line, and it's one of those I'm just, you know, both Adipure and 11 Pro actually. Adipure 4SLs and 11 Pro 2SLs, absolutely amazing boot. But I just, it would suck so much if I had, you know, really latched onto one line, one silo of boots, and then they just kill it. I get a new one, you know, they kill it. That must be so frustrating, especially if you take a little bit of time to adjust to new boots. Nightmare.
Yeah.
So,
just to comment on that observation, 99% of the time when they cancel a line or decide to go in a different direction, it's usually sales related.
of course.
So Adipure towards the end of its run wasn't selling all that well. 11 Pro really never sold well.
True.
For the most part.
Yeah. They were good boots though. They were good. But the good thing, especially if you're into, well, if you've been into Hypervenoms ever since that boot was released, okay, the Hypervenom 2 for the most part sucked, apart from the 2.5, which was all right. It was actually pretty good, let's be honest. But going up all the way up to the Phantom GT, you're going to get a more or less similar fit in the Hypervenom 1s, the 2.5s, the 3s, the Phantom Venoms, and the Phantom GTs, because they're more or less built on the same last. Phantom GTs are slightly longer, but you're going to get a similar feel and fit. So that's at least something you can, you know, it's easier to jump from model generation to silo, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. That's the modern boot market, right? They want to have new product more frequently. So you're just going to have to either stock up on a pair of boots that you really like and have a couple pairs, or just be ready to adapt something different because new things are constantly coming out. And just to comment on, imagine really liking a boot and they kill it off completely. Like somebody that would maybe like the T90 Laser and then that just completely got wiped off the face of the earth, never to return again.
Yeah,
that was me.
Or was it?
Yeah.
I was completely unaware. You should tell that story more often.
I should. I worked at a soccer store.
Right. Yeah. There was also a fun comment that said that the episode should have been called Jay and Josh Discover Capitalism. Had a good laugh about that. 1224, why do the new Puma Future colors not release in the low-cut version to the general public? I see the pros wearing them, but haven't been able to find them online. And that is probably, as Josh said, very much based around sales. So what I've experienced is that they only release low cuts for like their big general that's a difficult word, general releases. So when they have a new like big inline pack that every pro is going to wear, like the current turbo pack, for instance, I'm guessing there will be a low cut Future 6.1. I might be wrong though. I haven't checked. I should probably check before I say something stupid.
I'm not sure. I don't think there has been a low-cut Future 6.1 technically, even though the 6.1 and the 5.1 are completely unchanged.
Look, I got this. There is a pink Netfit 6.1 low.
Okay, cool. Great. Good to know. Where is that available?
I guess, you can find... You can find places where you can buy it, but if you're serious about your boot buying, you want to go to a nice, established, really nerdy place. There's only one place to be. That's unisportstore.com. Shameless plug. And thank you for that. Thank you for that.
No problem.
I guess with all the times I've teed you up for Pure Grip socks, you owe me that one. You owe me that much. But it's actually been out for both Chasing Adrenaline and for now the Turbo Pack, the low cuts. If you like it, go stock up right now if they're not out for all the colorways, which makes sense. Levi Winter, do you think wearing materials when recovering from a broken leg is a bad idea? My ligaments, tendons, and muscles are very tight, and I need a fair bit of work for your information. What do you say, Josh?
From a broken leg, I don't see why not, for the most part.
I agree.
What about the information really go off of what your doctor's telling you?
Yeah.
If your doctor's telling you to avoid high torque movements, then maybe wearing anything with cleats or studs in general that's going to provide that extra traction to allow you to put that torque on your leg, then maybe that's not a good idea. And I guess in terms of like all the football boots you could pick, a Mercurial is going to grip the hardest.
That was going to be my point. Yeah, that if you're in injury recovery mode, you probably want to avoid the boots that are gonna, put the most stress on your joints and your legs and your muscles, and that would probably be a Mercurial or boots similar to that Ultra and Furon, stuff like that, right? So basically, boots with bladed studs. With that said, I think the most important thing is that you shouldn't take, when it comes to like medical advice, physio stuff. Don't listen to two random guys on the internet who've built a career on reviewing football boots and
do not consult the Boot Nerds podcast for medical advice.
I mean, consult your doctor, because after all, he has a bigger say and he knows a lot more about physiological stuff than two nerds sat in their basement would do. I think we understand physics to a certain degree based on experience, but I mean, I wouldn't take advice from me, solid advice at least.
Yeah, here I have a question for you now, because this is kind of an interesting topic for me.
Okay.
Do you ever feel like you've suffered an injury because of a specific football boot?
I've been fortunate to never suffer a bad injury, so no. The worst I've had is basically blisters. What about you?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. I can't remember like an instant of a football boot causing me
He's gonna
harm.
say Vapor 3s now. He's gonna say Vapor 3s.
No, like obviously I got blisters from that. The one thing I can think of is when I was, for a short stint, we were training on this artificial grass outdoor field, and it was like sunny every single day and super hot, and the field was like 1,000 degrees.
Oh yeah.
And after 3 days of my feet just being completely like cooked, I ended up switching out of boots with cleats or studs, and I went to turf shoes that had a little bit of a thick foam midsole, and that seemed to help with dispersing the heat a little bit. But other than that, no, I can't say I've ever felt like I've suffered an injury from boots, but I'm also careful about that. I think if you're wearing soft ground boots on artificial grass, for the psychos that do that, you're asking for an injury.
You might as well go out and stretch out your leg and just take a hammer and just start hammering your knee. It's basically the same result.
Yeah. Also, the people that choose to wear no laces in their boots that are not laceless. I know that there's some pros that do that, and I really have to question the doctors and the equipment managers on letting that happen. That just seems like an unnecessary risk to put players that you're paying millions of dollars to play. I don't understand it.
I'm just gonna say that I hope that one day Neymar starts wearing a boot that has laces and that he goes laceless, because then we're gonna see the mother of all Josh rants in the podcast. That would be pretty amazing. We have two more questions. One from Nicolas Franco. I know you guys love the Mizuno made in Japan boots. However, you don't really talk about the elite versions of the Mizuno boots. How do you guys think the elites compare to the other boots in the market? I myself have some Regular 3 elites beat to the ground, and I'm very dubious about upgrading to the MIY. What's that, Maiden? I don't understand that. Or sticking to something else like the Predator. That's probably Mizuno he means. But what do you think of elites? Like,
I've tried a few of them, including the Regular 3 Elite, which I think is really good.
It is.
All of the Indonesian-made options, the elite tier models I've tried from Mizuno have been pretty solid. I think like Neo 2 in particular, I personally don't find that there's like a gigantic difference, especially once broken in.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, I don't notice the minute difference.
Personally, I feel a difference especially when it comes to like you hold them in hand, especially when it comes to durability. I feel that the Japan boots are you can just tell that they've been made with bigger care. But with that said, a lot of the guys in my team now have Mizuno elite boots, simply because, I've been plugging Mizuno, I've been telling them, like, go try them on. They've tried them on and they've loved them, right? But because the made in Japan boots are really expensive and not everyone wants to pay as much as I do for a pair of football boots, they've just opted for the elites and looking at how they fit their feet and how well they soften up when they're broken in. For the 200 euros you pay, I mean, they're absolutely at least on par with the Puma boots for value for money in the market. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. So yes, we have been guilty of underrating the elite boots, I think, from Mizuno, but it's just because the made in Japan boots are just that a little bit better for me. But you're right. I think to the untrained feet or untrained eye, the elites might be 95% as good as the made in Japans. Yeah. I just stay with elites, man.
Yeah, and then I guess he was asking about the lack of coverage. I think that has to do more with availability than anything. Mizuno seems to, outside of Asian markets, really only push the made in Japan product. At least that's what retailers tend to carry.
Which makes sense.
The vast majority of the time. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, they want to grow their brand. How do you grow their brand? Oh, well, statement products, right? So I think that's the first step. And then when they've established themselves, as like the big player that I feel they should be, then they can start looking into, widening the range and the availability of these lower price points.
Yeah. But for now, like unless the elite model is readily available for you and you can have pretty easy access to it, mainly in regards to shipping costs, then yeah, it's a solid option if you don't want to spend the money on the MIJ product. But if the elite product you want is only in Japan and you have to pay for shipping out of Japan to somewhere else in the world, you probably might as well buy the MIJ version.
And if I may add, people have actually managed to go into the Japan versions. I basically told them, but it's probably also in other places, but a Unisport store, there's this 30-day satisfaction guarantee when you buy a Mizuno boot. So you can actually, you can buy it, you can get it, you can train in it, and if you hate it, for whatever reason, you can send it back, you get your money back. Simple as that. But I haven't heard of anyone who's actually bought the Mizuno boot and played with it, even though they've been skeptical about it because they don't know the brand. They've just gotten them on feet and they've been like, whoa, Jay, whoa. Why haven't I tried this before? So it's not just, Josh and I who have been absolutely blinded by Mizuno, but it's, they can back it up with their products. But that's just what I'm saying. If you're skeptical about the Japan products, yes, they're more expensive, but they also tend to last you longer. So buy them, try them out from unisportstore.com. If you don't like them, just send them back. No harm done. You're an experience wiser, right? So
yeah, makes sense.
One last question from Alejandro A. Best, specifically directed at me. Hey, Jay, did you buy SR4U lasers before personally knowing Steven Gerrard? Don't worry, I won't tell. Well, that's good. Then I feel totally confident telling the entire internet that. No, I actually never purchased a pair of SR4U lasers before. I started talking to Josh personally. I'm sorry, dude. But I've always been one of those guys who have just, I've kind of just lived with the lasers in my boots. And it was only after that I opened my eyes to the brilliance of being able to customize your lasers. I don't remember where you can buy them, but I'm sure someone on the podcast
it is. It's sr4ulaces.com for anybody that's unaware.
Thank you for that. But no, I think it's fun. Personally, I have never been one to really be that bothered by my laces. If they're long, I just cut them and that's been it. But it's a nice little thing. So no one, I'm sorry, and yeah, it's the way it is.
No, but that's what they are, right? It's if you want it, it's there. If you don't want it, you don't need it.
Buy some socks instead. Anyways, guys,
if you're talking about what's going to have a bigger impact on something, absolutely, get some socks.
Definitely the socks. With that said, guys, on that bombshell, there might be another episode of the Boot Nerds podcast coming up if our friendship hasn't ended. On the basis of my comments right there. But if there is one more coming up and you'd like us to answer some of your questions in episode 86, you can leave them, as I mentioned earlier, in the comment section right down below. If you've enjoyed the content, as always, leave us a like. We'll greatly appreciate that. And also make sure to go subscribe to the Boot Nerds podcast by clicking the white bubble in the middle of the screen. You can also follow what we're doing at our separate channels, Josh, SR4U, me at Unisport. Click the bubbles over our heads. And we'll see you next time. I've been JayMike. I approve this message.
Yeah.
Signing up. Cheerio.
You know what would be cool? When you go on a website and like a song starts playing, it's got one of those if every time you went to the Unisport website, it played you singing "Happy" by Pharrell.
Oh yeah,
that would be sweet. You know what? I know some people at Unisport. I'm gonna get in touch.
Yeah, okay. This was definitely the last episode of the Bootnerds podcast ever. See you never. I don't approve this message. God.